wondered about the life of our grandparents and what they did at school? Well, you're in luck. Join us as we take a journey through history at the Afton Villa and Solitude Elementary and Schools of the Past. Now introducing Reverend Roosevelt Wilkerson and Elizabeth Lake.
We only had one pair of shoes. Our parents were very, very poor. We had to take our lunch to school in a little bucket, a little can. That's what we had to have our lunch in, and we had to have a spoon or fork to eat with. And the teachers didn't have to discipline too much because they knew whatever happened at school, it was going to get home, and then you were in trouble. So the clothes we wore to school was a dress. Didn't know nothing about too much pants. It was a dress. And then we didn't have but maybe one dress or two. One for Sunday and one for school. So we had to wash and keep it clean for the next day. Now, he was strict, I tell you what. You see, he didn't have but maybe another teacher at the same school. See, it was one school, and maybe another lady or another man would be at school with him. So if you would disobey and they had to send you to Mr. Jackson, he had a wide, flat board and had some holes in it. And he would paddle your butt. And you, whenever they would say, if you keep up what you're doing, I'm going to send you to Mr. Chapman. Well, they didn't want to hear going to him because he was kind of strict. He wasn't a mean teacher, no. Wasn't a mean principal, but he was very strict and he didn't take no foolishness.
Didn't get my lesson out. He gave me some timetables for to get over. I had a Friday night, a Saturday night, and a Sunday night for to get them. I went boy on. I had to get them out. So Monday morning, he called me for to say my timetables. Before I could get to 2 timetables. And I tried to Mr. Chapman, I think I'm going to take this paper the rest of my life. But it's for half of my time. He said, oh no, I'm going to help you out. So sit over there. And about 5 or 6 of us is carried back to the room. When he got through whipping us, the next morning I could sing them timetables. I forgot, I'm telling you, that's been 60 years ago. Never will forget it. Before Mr. Chapman's time, it was Bennet Higgins' time. They had 3.5 months, 4.5 months school. The school would let out at 12 o'clock, from 8 till 12. 4.5 months, only 4 hours at school. He was the mailman, too. So after school, he let the school out. He'd ride to town and get the mail and bring it back to the post office in Solitude. Solitude had a post office back in those days. And he did that until his health failed him. And then Mr. Chapman took over. He worked out from 1915 until 1925. 1925, they bought some land. Bible church out over St. Luke, that was a school there back in that time. 1925, they purchased that land. And when they purchased that land, they put a 2-room school there. A rich man called Mr. Rosenwald. He donated the lumber for the school to be built. George X. Wilkerson, George H. Wilkerson, and Willie Wilkerson hauled the lumber from St. Francisville to Solitude for to build this two-room school. Then Mr. Chapman took over, Mr. Bains went off a single. Mr. Chapman went down to the school board and asked him, he said, no, we don't have but 4 months school and a half. The child can make a grade like that. So what about letting us have school all day for the 4.5 months? So they granted to him that he could have the school 4.5 for the whole day for the 4.5 months. So later on, they built a shop, and he would teach the boys how to build our plow paints, make wagons, beds, and make slides. A slide for your ride on. If fellow couldn't afford a wagon, he could build his own slides and put a mule to it, take his plows and cultivate it back and forth in the field. He would haul his water. So after that, Mr. Chapman, he was the principal, and Miss Washington was my teacher. And time rolled on, he went back to the superintendent again and asked him, said, look, can we have 6 months of school? Because 4 months isn't, 4.5 months isn't enough. So they granted him to have 6 months of school with regular school hours. In that time, we didn't have no teachers in our parish. Nobody finished high school. Mr. Chapman came from Mississippi, and Ms. Washington came from Baton Rouge, and taught school in a 2-room school. We all loved one another, we shared with one another, and as Ms. Lee said, we didn't have much, but we shared what we had. And wasn't no such thing as somebody whip you and don't tell mom about it, or papa about it, you can keep it to yourself because you get another when you get home. They had us really under control. We had to do the right thing. If not, mom and papa would straighten us out because they didn't call no law. We push them on the trees to get one to switch. When they get through whooping us, we think they're the law. And we weren't getting in trouble no more. But as time rolled on, it brought a lunchroom. And we ate in the kitchen. Like Miss Lee said, whatever they had, we enjoyed the food what we had. Because we couldn't do no better. Because we were around our parents. We walked to school, we brought our lunch, we played together, we walked together, and sometimes we'd slip off and go swimming together. But all saying none, we made it. So we were walking to school in St. Francis, where I had finished from Solitude Rosenwald. We were walking to school, the white children on the bus, driving the bus. You walking, they throw eggs and hit us side the head. We roll rotten eggs and the egg all around our clothes. We get the little ditch and wash it off and go on to school down to Old Main Dawes. But 1946, my dad had to go to a car. I was the first black bus driver. I drove a car the first year. 1947, I bought a school bus. The school bus held 39 people at that time. And my route was from Solitude to Tunica, from Tunica back to Dawson High. And I put up 33 years driving bus. I was the first black bus driver in this parish. 1946 was the first black bus driver. And I was the one who drove bus until I retired.
The school was right down there. See, that highway went between the school and this highway when they made that 4-lane. This was the highway, and the highway used to be on the other side. That was the railroad over there. And I finished school down here. I didn't finish school because I went to night school and got my GED. Because I didn't have clothes to wear. We would have to wear our clothes at school and wash them at night and dry them by the fire. Get up early the next morning and iron them to wear to school. And I finished school. I didn't go in the high then in 7th grade here. Then I went to night school and got my GED, my 12th grade. I finished that's where I finished. So many of them, you know, were luckier than I was, because we had to walk up here to school and walk back. And so many of them would have so far to walk, and a lot of them didn't have shoes to wear to walk.
Can you tell us what a typical school day was like at Afton Villa School?
Oh, we had a nice time here. We had to do our own cooking. We'd cook and make popcorn balls, and everybody would bring something to cook. We'd cook at the school and serve meals. And when it was before my time in 1904, there's a white lady named Miss Augie. She took over the school after the Barrow, Steve David Barrow, passed away in 1874. He didn't live long after to give this place to the black people. And Miss Barrow went back to Kentucky after he passed away. And her son went to Tulane School of Medicine, and she went through there, and they went back to Lexington. And Miss Augie, that's all the papers say. It's in there. Where in 1904, she supported the schools, and everybody would cook. On Friday, Thursday night would be Afton Villa time to cook. They would have fish fries and make ice cream and sell stuff to help support the school. And all the children from around in the other parishes would come here to this school. Wakefield, St. Peter, all around, and Savior, all of them. This was the only school here. And they would come here to learn how to read and write.